Well, hi there, friends. It's Sandra Costello here, and I am taping my second official mini pod. And I decided that I could really get myself all gussied up for this mini podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see I have not done that. I've kept it very casual. I went for a lovely walk this morning. I put on my Margaritaville hat and my workout clothes. And I decided that I was going to keep this on for the podcast because I wanted to just have a really down-to-earth conversation with you about getting in front of the camera and booking a photo shoot. I feel like this is a really important topic, and it was something I started to spend a little time thinking about in the midst of COVID-19 and being sheltering in place at home. I asked a question on social media. I asked folks, if you knew that this pandemic was coming, what would you do differently? What would you have done beforehand? And people had all kinds of answers that were really intriguing, including traveling more, spending time with their older parents, making time for people in their life and working less. For me, my answer was, I wish that I had made the time for a portrait session with my mom and my two sisters. I'm the oldest of five, and I have two sisters and two brothers, and I love them all very much. But I really wanted a portrait with my mom and my two sisters. We wanted a girl's portrait, and that didn't happen. It it didn't happen because people's lives are busy, and we always figure we'll have time to make this happen. And it did not happen before the pandemic. It still hasn't happened. It's still on my list. It's been on my list for a couple of years, but it was a really interesting question to ask folks, because here's the thing: tomorrow is not promised, and we have all kinds of reasons that we've created for why we don't do certain things, but in particular, book the photo shoot. And those things include such things as gaining weight, being awkward in front of the camera. Um, Maybe you have gained a few lines over the years, whether they're laugh lines or what have you. Maybe you're feeling self-conscious about something that is a little bit off. Maybe you have a big space between your teeth, which I happen to think is really gorgeous. Maybe you're self-conscious about your freckles. I don't know. We all have a thing that we get fixated on, and we use that thing as a reason for why we are not worthy to get in front of the camera. I do it too. I have things that I get fixated on, and I think, oh, if I could fix this, or if I knew how to pose better, if I had the right outfit, that would be amazing. And so it's part of the reason why I decided to record this podcast in my sweat clothes, in my hat, and tell you that the message that I want to share with you today is equally as important whether I'm dressed for a walk or I'm dressed to the nines. It's all the same. And there is meaning to getting yourself in the photograph. And I'm going to talk about a couple of groups that I think really struggle to make that happen, and some of the reasons that some of the stories that we create that perhaps get in our way. Moms are really busy. And moms are even busier these days because they are not only managing their children at home, if they are remote learning, but if they're also trying to juggle a full-time or part-time job and manage children at home, it is really exhausting. And I appreciate that sometimes moms are not really feeling 100%. And so they would rather be behind the camera, taking the photographs, capturing whatever's going on at the time, and not allowing themselves to be in the picture just as they are, because they think that they should be more. They should be looking better, more rested, I don't know, slimmer, whatever the reason is, none of those things actually mean anything if the time or the person passes. And what I mean by that is your children do not care if you have soft hips. Your children do not care if your hair is graying. Your children do not care if you are awkward or a goofball in front of the camera. What your children care about is you. Being with you, knowing that you're their mom and that you love them, having fun with them, and just being in the damn picture. So this is not to say that I don't appreciate all of the things that may come up for you in determining whether or not you want to make that happen. But what I am saying is life is short. Tomorrow is not promised. And your kids and you deserve to have memories captured, even in spite of this crazy time, maybe because of this crazy time. I want to tell you a story about a client that I had a number of years ago. I had been away at a workshop and I got a voicemail from this woman, this new client, who said to me, I think I want to do some pictures with my two girls. I said, okay, that sounds good. And I said, when I'm back in town, I'll be in touch. So I called her. Her name is Michelle. And we had a really lovely conversation. And halfway into the conversation, she told me that she was really sick. Makes me emotional just thinking about it. And she said, I really want to have these photographs with my girls because I want them to have these pictures of us at this time when we are together and, you know, having a little bit of fun. And so I immediately kind of straightened up and I realized that we did not have a lot of time and that we needed to make this happen. And Michelle was very clear that these pictures were very important and that she wanted them to reflect the love that she has for her girls and the fun that they have together. So we scheduled a shoot pretty quickly. It was the following week. And within a week's time, things had progressed for Michelle to the point that she was not very mobile. And we ended up doing the photo shoot at her parents' home. And she told me that she really wanted the images to reflect fun and light and lively. And, you know, I did the best that I could. I brought some props so that they were wearing fake mustaches and feather boas and things of that nature. And we really tried to keep it very sweet and all of that. After the shoot, I created albums, legacy albums for the girls, and a couple of other things that I brought over to her family. And I had a difficult time being back in touch with her because her illness had progressed and it was difficult for her to be back in touch with me. And finally, I heard back from her partner at the time, and he said to me, yes, please come over today and bring everything. So I brought over the albums and I left them for her. And then I had been connected with her sister, who later that day, I think it was, posted that Michelle had passed that evening. And it really, like, the whole thing just really hit home for me how fleeting our time is and how important it is to capture those moments with the people that we love. And I will always remember, the strength that Michelle had in knowing that this was the right thing to do with her kids, to really capture these moments and to create an album that they would always have of their time with their mom, in spite of the fact that at that moment she was not well. So I really thought that Michelle was such a brave, brave woman, both in terms of how she was battling her illness and the gift that she left for her girls. So I share this story with you because I think it is really meaningful and significant. And, it's really easy for us to be distracted by things that we feel like are shortcomings on our part. And I say, let it go. Let it go. Let go of the things that are not serving you. If you have 15 extra pounds along your middle, as many of us do, especially during this pandemic, you know what? Consider that a little like you're ready for the winter, and also it means that you've been eating well. Um, if your hair is graying, I like to call it silver. Silver sounds very fancy. Go with that. And if you feel a little uncomfortable being in front of the camera, know that whether it be me or whatever photographer you decide to hire, that they've got you. They care about you deeply. It's why they do this work. I want to tell you one other story, which is perhaps a little less tender, although maybe not, depending on how you make decisions for yourself in terms of giving into your passions. So I have another client who reached out to me a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. She wrote to me at 2 a.m. She has been wanting to launch herself and her business for a while now. And she and I had worked together before, and she felt like I was the right photographer for her to capture the kind of story, the kind of images, and the personality of her. And she was ready to take that leap. Well, I was so glad to hear from her. We did the photo shoot. The photos have not been released yet, but the kind of fun that we had and the spirit that she was able to share in those photographs, because she felt that she was being held, she was in a safe place, it was the right time. She said yes to herself. And sometimes that's all it takes, for you to just give yourself like a little pat and to say, like, I am so deserving of capturing this moment in my life, whether it be with family, whether it's with your parents or your loved one, your partner. Perhaps it's really just about being seen yourself. Doesn't have to be a business endeavor. It could be incredibly personal. Like, let's create some really creative, amazing photographs of you that you have to remind yourself of your worth, and then to leave behind for others to have to be reminded of the amazing person that you were and your legacy. You can see that I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. And I'm pretty passionate about this stuff because I have seen incredible transformation in how people respond to having their photograph taken. Some of it is about the experience of being seen and really just letting go. And some of it is, I think some of it is just about feeling like they are being taken care of, being loved, being healed, being in the spotlight. That is a really special place to be in. And I couldn't think of anything more that I love to do with my time than to have a camera in hand and to capture your true essence, and then to give you those images so that you can hold on to them and be reminded of who you really are and how much you are cared for. That is the thing that is so sentimental about photographs. So, I want, if you take anything away from this podcast today, what I want you to know is, do not put off love and do not put off joy. Take the time to say yes to you, to your family, to whomever it is that you want to be in the photograph with and to be remembered with and remembered by. Tomorrow is not promised. This life is very short. And I want you to know that photographs are more than just your likeness. There is something else that comes from that, that really is a meaningful experience and a meaningful gift that you get to keep as a memento that you can go back to and really be, I think, really be changed by in a very positive way. So I appreciate you letting me have this time with you. We are on a journey, people, and I am so glad to be riding in this convertible with you, and I look forward to the next time. So thank you for joining me.